All right, guys, in this video, we're gonna be talking about, or trying to talk about, it's kind of loud in the hangar, but we're gonna be talking about the 5 fears that I personally believe people have when it comes to experimental aviation, more specifically, ultralight inspired experimental aircraft, you know, that look kind of more like this one, or airplanes more in the like RANs, Quicksilver, Phantom, Flight Star, all those type of airplanes, Challenger. And yeah, so I just want to talk about the 5 things that I think scare people, or the fears. There's a big difference between having a healthy fear of something and being scared of something. I have healthy fears of experimental aircraft, but I'm not scared of them because you can mitigate most of that with a good pre-flight and things of this nature. So I don't think there's anything wrong with admitting that somebody has fears. It's pretty obvious that people have fears of it, considering these airplanes all across this platforms are bought and sold and almost never flown by people who have them. So today's video is about that. Just basically talking about those 5 things. Yes, I don't have my hat, so my hair, I'm not bald yet, but you know, it's thinned out. So guys, before we get started, if you want one of these stickers, a smaller one, it's you know, maybe half the size of this one, email me at aviationadventureboys@gmail.com. I'll have it down here at the bottom of the screen. I've sent out officially 30, and it's amazing. There's 3 of them on airplanes now. It blows my mind. There's one on patches. A lot of you guys know patches, the X High Max, now Low Max. I'll put some pictures on the screen. And then my buddy Al up in Canada, he put one on the nose of his Challenger on floats. So man, it is just an honor to have that type of stuff happen. I can't even tell you guys enough. If you want to reach out to me, just aviationadventureboys@gmail.com. Also, there's 3 or 4 people who have super thanked me. They do it like every other month or every month, you know. And what that super thanks is it's a little money sign down here. If you're one of these people who do that, you know who you are, and if you want to contribute to the channel, do me a favor, just email me instead of doing that, because there's a lot. I'll tell you in the email. But yeah, so we're here today. I was gonna fly. The whole goal was to fly today, and it was supposed to be 8 knots or 8 mile an hour winds, whatever. And as you can hear probably in the hangar, it's crazy. I mean, the hangar door almost just threw me into the hangar. So yeah, we're not flying today. And I've recently been working on the plane, putting a new, as you see, I've got some tools here. I put a new fuel filter or fuel pump, 2 new fuel filters, and all new fuel lines on the plane. I'll probably talk about that more in a different video, but so it's actually not flyable right this moment. Ray's actually meeting me out here so that we can finish that up. And also I have a new GT4, and I just realized I have a spare hat at the airport. It's sitting right here on the table. I have a GT4 belt that I'm gonna take off my GT2 and put on there. So, all right, let's get into these top 5, or probably the only 5 I could think of when it came to purchasing this aircraft. Things that I was quote unquote scared of, you know, had a fear of or thought about when I went to purchase this airplane. And then for the first 10, 20, 30 hours, it's definitely on your mind. I will say I'm gonna start at number 5, which is the one I think about the least, and go all the way down to number 1, the one I think about the most. But reality is, now that I'm familiar with the plane and things like that, and how things work, and pre-flighting better, and I don't worry about these things. They're there, but I don't allow them to take over my thought process on the plane. So let's start with number 5. I wish I had like a number 5. I'll just do that, number 5. And the least is nuts and bolts, okay? You have airplanes that were built by, or if you buy a plane like this, somebody built it probably in their house or in their garage or in their hangar, and they built it from plans. And like I've said in my last videos, you don't know if this person was Cheech and Chong and they were high while they were doing it, or if they would get home from work and drink beer and work on the plane. So who knows? But one of the biggest, number 5 for me, was the thought that this is an airplane, or all these type of airplanes are basically rivets. You can see there's rivets just everywhere, and nuts and bolts. And how you mitigate that one, how you don't worry about that one as much, is just a good pre-flight, guys. Again, that's number 5. So that's kind of the most distant one. Just do a good pre-flight, and also make sure you're using AN nuts and bolts. They stand out pretty good. You know, they're gold. If you aren't familiar with them, or if you're buying a plane, reach out to whoever the manufacturer is. In this case, reach out to Mike Harrison. He can send you, if you buy a Challenger and you don't know anything about the bolts that are on there, how old they are or whatever, blah, 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 he can send you a complete kit. And actually, that's what that is next to this hat I forgot I had. Sorry, it's so unorganized here, guys. But he has these kits that he can send that replace everything. It'll replace all these bolts. All these bolts get replaced. And then that way you know that they are AN bolts and you're the one who put them in there. So number 5 is that. So also, guys, while we're doing this, please subscribe, please like, please comment on the video here on YouTube. And it's the only way I can build the channel is if you guys do that. And I really appreciate support. I've had lots and lots and lots of support, and I really appreciate that. I just want to, my goal is 10,000 for this year, 10,000 subscribers. I'm at 40 some odd hundred. I think we can do it. I really appreciate it. But the reason I said that was comment what your fears would be, and don't be all, oh, I'm a tough guy, I have no fears, because if you have none of those fears, then you need to be in a psychiatric hospital. That's just the bottom line. Or if you're too tough guy, I don't have fear, well, then you're just lying to yourself and everybody around you. So, cool. Let's get on to number 4. 4. Yes, I made that noise with my mouth. I'm gonna put you guys up here for a few of them because I can, and I don't have to worry about you guys being, some people say, oh, I get motion sickness in your videos and blah, blah, blah. And some people say, I want you to walk around. So I can't make everybody happy, but I do my best. So number 4, guys, is gonna be acclimating or getting used to turbulence in an airplane that's 450 pounds or whatever. In some cases, ultralights that are sub 254. And it's different. When you're dealing with turbulence in an airplane like this, it feels different than it does when you're in a 172 or a Cherokee or something like that. A matter of fact, now I go fly the Cessna. I've been flying the Cessna a lot with my buddy, Dr. Safety, we'll call him. That's what he requested to be called. And, you know, turbulence in those airplanes is no longer real to me. It doesn't exist. I don't worry about it. Obviously, how you would handle that, guys, is you throttle back. And you try to stay below your VA, your maneuvering speed. All airplanes have maneuvering speed. In like the Cessna, it's 99. And you know, if you're in turbulent weather, you don't want to exceed that because things could start falling apart. So I just throttle back and I just go slow if there's really bad turbulence. So that's pretty much how you mitigate number 4. But I will tell you, turbulence in a Challenger, in other Quicksilver, things like that, it definitely hits different, as they say, than it does in a 172. Or it's so funny when you're in a GA aircraft, you just feel so much like, oh, you know, okay, so what? When you're in this plane, you're part of the turbulence. So that's definitely number 4. And yeah, not a big deal. Throttle back or do what you gotta do, land, go fly another day. That's how you would mitigate that one. So I had said I wasn't gonna talk about how to mitigate the problems, but I guess I'm going to. So that's just, I come off the head, guys. There's no script here. Number 3. Number 3, and now we're getting into a little bit more things that kind of sit around with you while you're flying around. They're there. I put this one as the least of the 3 major ones because it's kind of a non-event depending on how you deal with it. Number 3 thing for me would be an engine failure. I have experienced it. And I will tell you that when it happens, you definitely go into a different mode to where there's no fear and you're just like, hey, I have to put this on the ground. And you go through the steps that you've gone through in your flight training. Hopefully you're somebody who's been flight trained. Obviously, I grew up with a father who taught this procedure to every single person more than any other thing. For my dad, when he was training people in Quicksilvers and all this other stuff, his emphasis was put on safety. How do I get on the ground? He really, all the other stuff was small. It was all about how do I stay alive if something happens. And like my dad used to say, it's a non-event. If you just do it, I've seen my dad handle engine outs in this type of aircraft. He's had some in other aircraft that didn't work out so great. But unfortunately, you guys probably know that I lost my dad last week. So, okay, so enough of all that emotional stuff. So when you lose your engine in a plane like the Challenger and stuff, it's a lot different than it is in a GA aircraft. You know, in a 172, if I lose the engine, I'm trimming the nose up for my best VG, my best glide, and I'm going to go through some steps. In these airplanes, we have one step, and that's put the nose down, pick up airspeed, because if you don't have airspeed, you're just gonna stall, and you're probably gonna be landing somewhere that you can see right next to you, you know? I fly a couple thousand feet above the ground typically. I'll fly around at 2,500 all the time. That gives me 2,000 feet for decision making. If you're somebody who runs above the trees, then you're just running that risk that if you lose the engine, you're either gonna be in trees or you're gonna try to find a field. Hopefully you can, but you can also get these airplanes so slow that, you know, the numbers are a little higher when it comes to a success of having an issue like that in an airplane like this, in my opinion. So you're not having to worry about trying to find a long stretch of highway so that you can get a 172, its inertia, it's a momentum to slow down. You basically just, I can put this, I tell people all the time, I'll put this in your mom's backyard. I tell them, I know it sounds weird that I say it that way, but for some reason I do, and it has nothing to do with moms, but I can land this thing almost anywhere. When I'm flying around, I just look, I go, oh yeah, I can land right there. I can land right there. Not a problem. So just get used to your plane. If you buy a plane like this, just start when you're going to land, put something down there, put a cone down there and just say, hey, I'm gonna practice setting down right next to that cone. It's easy, guys, and once you get used to your plane and you and your plane are one and you understand it, what it wants to do, one tip about when your engine goes out, it actually glides better with the engine off than it does when you're sampling it, not sampling, but when you're doing a practice and you pull the throttle back. When the engine shuts off, it actually glides better than when the engine is still windmilling or still on and producing power. So I can tell you from experience, it was kind of a little shot forward. It was pretty nice. And I have a lot of faith in the Challenger 2 when it comes to an engine out. So if you have any questions about any of these things, leave it down in the comments. Let's go to number 2. So the number 2 thing that I put right behind losing my engine is a loss of control surfaces. I know this sounds weird, and I've talked to a few people about it, but it's definitely something that you think about. I just saw a post on Facebook, which is awesome. A guy posted that he just flew his Challenger without transition training. That's cool, that's fine. If you're sticking, like I didn't do transition training either, but I also grew up in Quicksilvers and stuff, so the stick and rudder thing were a little more normal to me. But there is, your Challenger especially is going to humble you at some point in time. I think I was probably 20 hours in and when I had my first, what the heck is going on? And a lot of it has to do with the weather, the density, altitude, things like that, what you have in the plane weight-wise. And there is gonna be to that guy, congratulations, that's freaking awesome. I support you 100%. Obviously you're gonna do fine, but your airplane's gonna humble you at some point in time. And when it does, please come to this video and comment on it, please. Because you're gonna be making a base to final turn and you're gonna be like, and the plane's not gonna do it because of how much tailwind you have, or you're gonna realize that, holy geez, what's going on? Or you're gonna get close to the ground and all of a sudden the plane's just gonna shift. There's a lot of things that these planes do because they're so light and their control surfaces are a little smaller than some other ones. For example, I have the Beaver. I have a Beaver, an ultralight in my garage, and the horizontal and vertical stabilizers are bigger than the Challenger. So there's not a lot of surface there. Now, I'm not taking away from Challenger, great airplane, but it's going to humble you at some point in time, and when it does, let me know. But yeah, so my number 2 thing is lost, and I have actually had it a few times. I've went to do something, you know, rudder, stick, and nothing happens. It just doesn't want to do what I'm asking it to. Then I have to apply more power or get into a different situation. I won't get into too much detail on that, but definitely get with an instructor and get some transition training so you know how to deal with that when it does happen, because it's not if, it's when. And I have actually spun an ultralight, so I do know the feeling in my chest and in my stomach, what it's like to have no control and hope for the best. And I will tell you, it sucks for a minute until you realize that your survival is in your hands, and then you take over and you get it done. So I'm not perfect, nor are you. So training, it's all about training, guys. Get the nose down, keep the airspeed up. Fly it like you stole it. Now we're talking about the number 1 fear I think everybody has when it comes to an airplane like the Challenger 2 or like any of the ones I listed earlier. And that is structural failure. They do have a history of, the Roni brackets having issues, but again, those aren't like manufacturer issues or issues with the airplane. These are all pilot error things. So you need to pre-flight your plane, and you shouldn't do things that structurally max your airplane out. Like, I am not somebody who's into aerobatics. I don't want to do aerobatics. I don't care about them. I don't think they look cool. I don't think they're fun. I don't even ride, I don't even like elevators, but I don't ride on rides at the circus or anything like that. I don't do any of that stuff. I just want to fly. I have fun flying. And I don't test my airplane. I don't go flying by groups of people at fly-ins and go way down and then pull way back and climb out. I have no desire to do that because my plane doesn't want to do that. It wasn't structurally built to be aerobatic. And if you're flying a 172 or something, you see all those TikToks and stuff all the time where they just climb out real hard. Listen, they're rated for multiple G's, But the number one fear is that you're flying along and all of a sudden one of these brackets breaks and your wing comes off. What are you gonna do? I've asked myself a million times, what am I gonna do if that happens? And other than praying, I guess just pulling the power back, trying to control it as much as possible. The few I've heard of have been documented as pilot error, like they're way overweighing the airplane and things of that nature. So this is no reflection on Challenger or any of these other companies. I do know one guy had his horizontal stabilizer come loose, but it was because he wasn't pre-flighting and the nut came off the bolt. So again, almost all of these things, guys, can be brought back to pilot error. So if you're going to buy an airplane like the Challenger, have faith in yourself and your ability and make sure you make smart decisions and you pre-flight your airplane. And you just do what you know is right and safe. And especially if you're gonna put people in this plane, I personally, anybody who's on here that knows me and flies with me will tell you that I don't put somebody in my plane unless I've done a safety flight. So even if we're in a hurry to go somewhere, I'll take the plane out and fly it. Now, if I flew it the night before or something, then I'll just make sure it's warmed up and pre-flighted really well. But if I haven't flown in a week or two, I'm just gonna do a lap in the pattern. Because if, make sure everything's dialed in after I've done a really good pre-flight. And that way the person who's with me sees that I've done that flight and they're like, hey, John flew today. So, that airplane was in the air. So, here, we're all good to go. So I know this is kind of a weird video. I really appreciate you guys watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like and comment on the video. And again, email me if you have any questions. The super thanks, people, I appreciate you guys. If you want to kind of sponsor a video or something like that, email me. We can figure something out. I would like to build this channel. There's gonna be a lot more flying when I can. It's just so dang windy, I can't. But I have some really good video ideas planned out for the future here. And yeah, I can't wait to do it. And I can't wait to have you guys there with me. So, and for the record, it's like my buddy Gary. Gary's a subscriber. He lives, somewhat nearby. He's already came and hang out. We talked about airplanes and done all that stuff. So I have no problem doing that with anybody. As long as you're not insane, then we're good to go. So, and if you're watching this, you're probably not because you're into aviation. So, all right, guys, until the next one, I appreciate it, and we'll see you then.